yeah, it's already ironic because that hurt and the pain that we carry through life, well, if we learn from it, then we grow from it. We don't have to carry it anymore. I'm talking really quiet because of the time of night it is. But I could be getting a little bit carried away with how quiet I'm talking, because there shouldn't be anyone at either side of the wall. That said, um, when I did the basis interview thing, I talked about I call it a spider at the time, and it was about a spider that I saw, and then it was like having an electric shock to my head whilst I was asleep, except I wasn't really asleep, because I remembered it all perfectly, well, as perfectly as I could. And at the time, I never knew if it was a flashback or if it really happened. And actually, now I think it really did happen. But I think that whilst I'm sitting on a bed and it feels solid, and on one hand it is solid, on the other hand it isn't solid, and that's scientific fact. And I felt very much as though when I was having that experience, as though I was in here still, but as though in here was like really big and white, and loads of lights everywhere. It was like a dimension within a dimension, except this part of the dimension was a tiny part of it. And really, this room is huge. Ironically, it's quite huge in just like literal terms, as in what the normal human eye would see. But I really do feel as though, really, this room is nothing like how we think it looks. And the same goes for everything and everywhere. We're seeing one reality, but really it's just a reality amongst realities. And my whole life I felt as though I was part of loads of parallel universes alongside one another. And then as I got older and grew, I wasn't sure if that was because time isn't real in the sense that we are taught to believe it to be. I'm not saying time doesn't exist, I'm just saying that the way we're taught to believe it, is not a fair representation or true representation of how time really stands. And so when I was a kid, I didn't really know whether or not it was that we are just in loads of parallel worlds alongside one another, or if it's because all of the times are kind of like together yet apart, yet at the same time as together and apart, we're feeling them because we are them and they are us. And oh my god, I don't know how else to say it actually, other than that, because whilst we are here living now, we also in spirit have lived everything before the here and now too. And so if I say we are everything and everything is us, that literally does mean that I'm part of like this human experience now, being here now. I don't want to sound cheesy and say none of it's by accident, but that is the reality, and none of it is by accident. We all have a purpose to be here. I don't know how else to term it other than looking at like an ant's nest. When I was a kid, I used to look at ants, not just the nests, but going about their jobs in general. And then if I thought of New York City, I would see locusts. I'm sure it was locusts. Termites. I'd see termites from the point of view of how they build. But you could say locusts from the point of view of how Most humans run around like it's absolutely insane when you look at how fast everyone in life wants to go. It's actually interesting purely because in the angelic forms and demonic forms, everything's really fast, meaning we're really slow. But that's in this realm, because really in the demonic realms, it's heavy and sluggish and hard to move, rather like how it is on Earth now. And so it's like everyone's trying to counter well, not everyone, but the people who are running really fast all the time. It's like they're trying to counter the hell which they'll end up in if they don't understand and realize how to turn it around to become in the afterlife, in after the physical, in the angelic realms, in heavenly realms. And whilst spirits are not the same as angels, the fact of the matter is, if when we get to the angelic realms, everything's lighter and faster, whereas in the demonic realms, it gets slower. But here, amongst us, in this reality, the demonic is faster than us. A lot of people see things out the corner of their eyes. That's because it's happening so fast compared to us. In this reality, we're slow, because it's a hellish reality for what it's become. Think about when you're joyous and light and happy. That joy makes us feel light and joyous and like amazing. But if we feel down, we feel sluggish, and it's hard to move, because if you're depressed, you feel sluggish. It's part and parcel. It's a really good analogy, actually, to think of being a demon as being super depressed, and being an angel as being super full of love and joy, and that's like the difference. And when you're full of love and joy, you want to give love and joy to everyone and all around you. Whereas if you're depressed and miserable, a lot of people, they might resent if someone else is, and that's like the demonic realms. They're depressed and miserable, and they really messed up, and now they're like demons and under the charge of the adversary. They're depressed and bitter and twisted and on a mission, because they don't realise that if they just repented, they'd all get back home. Instead, they think of it like we've got no choice, and if we don't do this, we're going to be tortured forever, and we've got to complete our mission. And that's why it's kind of how it is, in literal and lateral terms now in our life, because we're right in the middle of this holy and unholy war. And because of how it's all become now, and everybody sees it in such straight terms of good and evil, think of all the energy people feed into YouTube alone, looking at like quote unquote Illuminati, Jay-Z this, or Rihanna this, or oh god, there's so many channels from, well, they're all just distractions. At the end of the day, we're all in this together, and some people are chosen to play roles, and some of those roles are the Rihannas and Jay-Z's of the world. We're all puppets on a string until we free ourselves from our strings and we cut ourselves free. And we do that by healing and understanding that it isn't all just, it's not the blame game. It's about us all being able to come together and heal. And we all are taught to think that looking within is selfish. But by looking within, we can heal ourselves, and as we heal ourselves, it organically radiates out of us, and that ripple effect, the butterfly effect, it does literally affect the whole world. My cat's leaning on me that heavy that I'm like I could like just sit like this because this tiny little cat, like you can see her here. Morning. Oh, we've got a tail. Oh, bless her heart. Yeah, I feel like I don't know, it's really weird actually. I never film in the dark. I don't particularly like filming in bad light, and this is like everything I'm not really that keen on. But I just really feel like as though everyone, and also a huge problem that a lot of people who haven't been able to come to terms with the spiritual abuse to the degree where I know Jesus' name alone can be a massive trigger. And I'm in a little bit of an awkward position purely from the point of view that I have Christians who get it, but who I think don't quite get how soft, as in not soft, but how triggering just Jesus' name alone can be, let alone quoting scripture left, right and centre. Now don't get me wrong, I now can read scripture and enjoy it, but it's taken me like 37 years. I mean, I could when I was a kid too, but I mean, from my adult life, probably the last 2 to 3 years have I felt like I wanted to again. But only the last year have I like regularly. And I have done years prior too, but in patches because so much stuff happened and I can't specifically say like, but I can at the same time. You know, you're so programmed to, they program triggers into you. And a trigger could be, I think most people think of triggers like something that will make you do something sexual, or something that would make you do something like go and kill someone, or something that would make you do something like go and do a ritual. When the reality is, triggers can be, those things in extreme cases. Triggers can also be things which make parts within someone with disassociation, with disassociation to the point of amnesia between the dissociative layers, which, say for example, you hear a ticking noise, a part within will remember something related to the noise, or will have a job to do. It'll have a job to do, and we'll do it every time it hears that trigger. The ticking noise is that trigger for that part. Or you could have a childhood toy, and that'll be a trigger for a different part within. Or you could hear the name Jesus, and that'll be a trigger for the ritual parts. And because everyone brought up with satanic ritual abuse, God, I could have barely say that then, is taught that Jesus is the big lie. And so there's parts within that believe that. And the way to counter that, I find, is the moment that our parts within us can start to trust us over any cult lies is the moment within which we start to break through. Because if we can't be trusted by our own parts within for ourselves, then if we keep putting ourselves into dangerous positions, then no alters are going to come forward, no alters are going to start chatting, no alters are going to start communicating, because if they can't trust us, and if they can't communicate and trust us, they can't come onto the side which tells the truth as opposed to the big lies. Because if you're being told loads of lies, but actually the lies are more convincing than the person who wants all this truth but may not be following through. So by following through and doing the hard steps, like, it's amazing, because then your parts within start to trust you over any nonsense which they've been taught forever. Alright, it's going to be too long, and it is terrible light. I don't really like, I mean, I'm not vain or anything, but at the same time, this is awful light. and it's like 2:34 and I've got to go to sleep. So thanks for watching. Bye. Oh yeah, trippy. It's 2:34 on the 24th of the 10th, 2015. That's just quite funny because, you know. Alright, I'm going to go. Bye. Being very serious now. Bye.